Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Ghost in the Magazine. I'm Elle,
I'm Mel.
And I'm Al.
and today we are here to talk about episode 1 of the new Mayfair Witches series, which Al and I had the displeasure of watching first thing in the morning. How about you, Mel? Did you?
No, I'm definitely keeping it to the nighttime. It's not scary enough for nightmares, just gross. So,
Yes, that's a good description.
Yeah.
Not scary, just gross.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
super scary.
So I too am like I read these books a while ago, but I'm rereading them with Steph right now, and it's a wild ride. I will say that. Like there's a lot of stuff I forgot on my first read, and there are a lot of choices that they made in this adaptation that have me really scratching my head and just like wondering what the fuck is going on. The first thing I want to talk about immediately, even though we don't really see it in this episode so much, we do see the character's introduced, but they get rid of Michael and instead we have Cyprien. And because Al hasn't read the books yet, I think we need to let her know who Michael is.
Yes, please. I've seen your TikToks and I've seen the rage, and I'm just like, what is this dude's problem?
I like Cyprien. At first I was like, okay, put a brother in there. I like it. But the characterization is wrong in terms of, a pair for Rowan. So,
well, yeah. And the idea of merging Michael and Aaron Leitner, like, but Michael in the book is a trash bag. He is my second, like, of all the literary characters in all literary canon, I hate Michael only less than Angel Claire. And that's a big thing because I fucking hate Angel Claire. So I would, if Michael was a real person, I would find some way to fist fight him. But
Nice.
that's because Michael, first of all, is a classist piece of shit and he can go fuck himself, and he has like this whole long thing about why he doesn't fit in with his poor family because his mommy came from rich folks, and that's
that
like
part.
a whole chapter in the beginning of the book. Yes.
Yes. And praising his own like woodworking skills.
Yes.
Okay, build a house then, Michael.
He's a genius, and that's why his business worked, not because he came from incredible privilege when he moved to San Francisco. And then he goes on to rape a child and blame it because the child seduced him. And
What?
I hate Michael so much. But
Okay.
I feel like when they made the choice to cut Michael out, I was like, maybe they're going to take all the nasty Mona Mayfair shit out. I was hoping. I don't know. That's not even covered in this season. But
yeah, it's true.
That's why I am kind of holding off on making a judgment on Cyprien, because I want to see where they're going. If they made Cyprien so they could take the gross shit out of Michael, cool. Like I am 100% for that. I like Cyprien. If Cyprien rapes Mona Mayfair, I'm done. I'm out. I'm heading out. I'm packing up. I'm done.
I can't see it going that direction though thus far. I'm caught up with the show and I feel like now Cyprien is way too empathetic and kind of, savior-esque to really mold into that character. But I feel like someone has to, because all these other characters like the Michael show you that Rowan has a propensity for like rapey guys. I mean, like when she meets like a guy with integrity, she seems super bored. And the book kind of says that more, I think, than the show. She's looking for, firefighters who will spit on you, that kind of thing. So I liked Michael for that reason. I'm like, this is the type of dude that Rowan fucks with. Like that helped the characterization for me. And for that reason, I could see why the greaseball that is Lasher would catch her eye. So
No,
Yeah, that greaseball right there.
Yeah.
No.
I want you to know that when I first messaged Mel about this show because I had a poem I wrote about chapter 6 of the witching hour, and we were talking about Lasher, and you said he was somebody's uncle who hadn't come out of the closet yet.
Seriously, look at that suit. He's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
trying too hard to look metro, but also doesn't have the literal fashionable sense of a modern gay. So I'm just not sure where they were going with that. And the low beard, you can't trust the low beard.
Yeah, no,
No.
yeah, no.
Not the A beard. You
It's
can't.
too close to a neck beard. It's way too
Yeah.
fucking close. I don't like it.
He looks like a Walmart version of Matthew Barry in What We Do in the Shadows.
He does.
He's like
Oh,
the American version of like the Walmart discount version of Laszlo.
They should have leaned all the way into that and just cast Matt Berry. Then I would have been 100% in on this. Like,
Cast Matt Barry
Yeah.
and everything.
yes.
Yeah, honestly, that would work better. Like, just do that. But
Mhm.
at the same time, maybe just because some acting skills would have helped this character, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Elle, who did you picture in your mind as the perfect person to play Lasher?
I don't know. I don't know that there is a perfect person. I think like height-wise, I'm thinking more like Adam Driver, somebody that
Ooh,
has
yeah.
that presence and can scare me. This man does not scare me. Those Nintendo 64 graphics that they put on his face in that scene do not scare me.
Yes.
Like
Weird, yeah, random. And like the only spot is CG for like a mile. So it just,
Right?
other than like, I guess Cyprien's visions are a lot of CG, but that one was really weird. It's like, I can be anything. And it was all just faces, it wasn't like a bunch of different entities, which I guess he tried to imply and then fell way short. So
It looked like an Animorphs cover. It was just like that weird shifting that just didn't quite like make sense. I was like, this is strange. I was like,
yeah, Adam Driver. I like that though because he's got the scary, sexy look and the big eyes and the pout, which that was part of the description of Lasher, that he had eyes kind of overly big and alien sweet, sort of look to his face. But yeah, this guy, I was like, who is this? He doesn't even like fit in the first line, when they're partying down the street later on. I'm like, he looks weird. Like, what funeral did you come from?
And he's like ahead. He's like not even ahead. Like he's a few inches taller than the actress that's playing young Deirdre, and that is does not make compute to me because I mean, put him in lifts or something because Lasher is tall, dark, and terrifying. Like that's why you would be horny enough to fuck that man and get your uterus punted into the sun. Okay, that's the only way that the next book works. Okay. Nobody is.
I agree.
Take that risk. I'm not taking that risk. I'm sorry. Like I'm sure he's.
And I'm a
nice
short
man.
king lover, but
Yeah.
not for this.
He doesn't feel ominous enough to be any sort of a threat or pay any attention to him. Like until he's on screen, I'm like, oh yeah, you. Like you're back. Who are you? But yeah.
He's like, I'm seducing you. Is this working? Like, no. It's not.
Oh yeah. And a lot of the casting choices are kind of interesting. So Rowan, I feel, is almost a completely different character than she is in the book. And the reason why is because, well, first of all, we have this vastly different visual of Rowan because in the book, Rowan is like this skinny, blonde hair, blue-eyed, like doe-like. They even call her a gazelle once. They describe her as a gazelle. And that's Michael's viewpoint, of course. I think that Alexandria Diodaro, is that how you, I don't know how you say her last name, but she has very striking eyes. And so that is kind of witch-like. I think she has like a aura around her. But I think that the idea of Rowan in the book as being like this new type of of witch that is more genetically compatible with a Taltos is kind of broken by the visual like belonging that she has with her mother, because she looks very similar to the actress that's playing Deirdre. Like,
yeah.
So
they go through extra steps to make them all look alike. I mean, the rest of them have contacts. I mean, if she doesn't, she might as well. But I
she
mean,
does.
so
No.
Young Deirdre definitely does.
Okay.
In that first episode, she's got the eye thing going on. But I'm with you. Yeah, she was a little bit like more fair, which is supposed to be a part of the reason she caught his eye. And I'm like, no, don't take out the part where, Lasher is a racist. So, leave that in there. Leave it in there. But I agree. I didn't get, and she's always kind of like half crying and shaking. And in the book, she kind of is fierce, even at first. She's not as much, oh my God, what did I just do? I'm a horrible person. She more was like, oh my God, what did I just do? I have so much power.
Yeah, Book Rowan is a bit of a sociopath. So like the fact that this Rowan is going through like these like terrible inner turmoils over everything is a little it's a little different. It's different experience. I do think that they were going for it because instead of leaning into this romance with Michael, they're leaning into her power being what drives her to go back to New Orleans instead. Because and I agree with that. Like, we can do without that disgusting fucking few chapters of them fucking. Like, just no.
Yeah. And the later chapters of them fucking too. We can just get this. But yeah, I agree. It was more a self-centered pursuit. She was like, what am I? And also, how can I leash my power? How can I harness my power? Like, I have to go to the source to figure out how to use it. I think she knew from the start she could kill people because she was healing people to advance her success as a surgeon. I don't think she was doing it because she just could not allow patients to die on the table, because she selected which patients to save with her gift. And it was always in contrast to some other doctor bossing her around. So I think it was more like, gotta go home now so that I can get a real handle on this and do some damage.
Yeah. I do think that the Rowan that we see on screen is a lot more empathetic though. Like, or at least she tries to push that out.
Yeah.
Versus the Rowan in the book that was like, well, I'm a hero because I'm a surgeon. So blah, 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 like, worship me, suck my dick, which that's not really what I get from this Rowan. She can't even make that decision. I do feel like Book Rowan would have crossed the first name off on that list and put her mom in that trial if she had been given.
Right, yeah.
She's a fucking shark.
That scene definitely humanized her a little bit, where she refused to choose a name. So I think that was and her kind of adoptive mom in general was used to humanize her in the show and the book. Yeah.
Speaking of the adopted mom, there's a scene at the beginning where like she's making martinis on her boat, and her mom says something that just like, it brings me back to that like stupid like boomer fucking capitalist ideology that's in the book. She says that, oh, you live on a boat like a dropout. Motherfucker.
You know how much it cost to moor a boat? Oh, no.
Yeah, right.
And in the book, she had a house and a boat.
Yes. It's just, I can't imagine. Like, do you even know what a dropout is, bitch? Like,
I didn't see her working, so I don't know.
Well, if she's a Mayfair, I also think that's interesting because in the book they're not allowed to change their name. Like, the women have to be Mayfairs their whole life. They're not allowed to change their name, even the like outside relatives and stuff.
Yeah, what did you think about Boat Guy?
Which one?
The guy that she kept trying to convince to not go on dates and sleep with her on her boat. Yeah, the bartender. Why was he there? All right, that's all. That was the question I wanted answered. This man was a useless prop.
The only thing I can think of is that they were trying to find ways to like I guess maybe more modernize her, of like make her more empathetic, but still have her have a strong career and have her own life choices. And if she wants to fuck somebody, she's going to. And it's kind of like that, oh, the female empowerment of like she can get sex whenever she wants to kind of thing. It was a very weird, just kind of like strange, like, what's the point of you? Like just coming in here just that way, just because like, oh, do we want this because it's a sex scene or because it's actually going to be like doing something for her character? And I don't think it really did, other than it just shows us that she's really pent up and horny.
Yeah, I don't think it revealed the depth to what she was using relationships and sex for, I guess. She was in the book really kind of like succubus style, stealing like energy from them, and on the show it's just like, oh, she has errant one night stands, that's kind of her thing. It was more than that, she was like probing these guys like minds and souls like the whole time they're doing it. So yeah, I think it took some of the nefariousness out of it and added just a little bit of, oh, she's just a slut, it's fine. But he had a reason for her like slutty nature,
Yeah.
So he could have been more of a vehicle.
Yeah. I feel like they just shoved it in there to be like, oh, but by the way, in the book she's a hoe, but that's not the point of the hoeing in the book.
It wasn't, yeah.
I also think it's interesting in the book that she's like obsessed with like hooking up with like firefighters and police officers and like salt of the earth, which those are fucking okay, I'm not going to get into what cops are, but they're different. They're not salt of the earth, in my opinion. But it's what's interesting about that is like the type of archetype that Michael is throwing off when he's like growing up, because his father's a firefighter and he's like disgusted that he's like this working class man because he's the son of a firefighter, and Rowan's out there, with all but it's Michael that blows her mind. Oh,
okay. There was a good some good imagery in the book that I thought helped us understand what Rowan was looking for. She was really trying to suck some goodness out of people. I think she knew like her inherent evil. But there was a section in the book where she's getting fucked by one of these firefighter guys, and his like St. Christopher pendant is slapping her in the face like the whole time. And I'm like, that's kind of perfect. Like his goody two-shoe, like, symbol of Christianity and hope is smacking her in the face while he's fucking her. And she's like internalizing this. She's thinking about it. She's like, this guy's so good, and oh, his strong heart is beating. I'm like, yeah, she really has a lot more predatory kind of vibe, which makes her fit right in with the rest of the Mayfairs, honestly. So
I hate to jump back into the book, but I just think it's interesting the way that all of their money is pretty much stolen by this fucker here. So the only way you can get that privilege is by having some fucking bitch ass absurd ghost with like sweat, lots of sweat, steal stuff.
He's very sweaty.
He's a sweaty boy.
Sweaty as a ghost. Why would you choose to sweat? You're gonna choose a form. Right.
You can choose
I
a
can
form,
be anything, but I can't stop sweating.
It's moist uncle, like that's your final form. Like let's talk about Cortland a little bit. I like the casting though. I feel like this is the best casting that they did. He just like, he's very greasy, the fake tan, like I don't know if it's a fake tan, actually it's probably a tan. He just like that rich Southern gentleman vibe just really exudes from this man. He does a great job. Cortland is not alive during the time of Rowan in the book, but neither is Deirdre, so they switch a lot of stuff up here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they decided to have Deirdre, kind of trapped on the porch and then freed by the random doctor.
Yeah. I'm wondering about that too, because I've watched through to the end and I don't understand that why they did that, storytelling wise. And apparently see, I didn't catch it when I watched it, but I watched the after thing and then I listened to the podcast this morning. But when the doctor takes the necklace off of her, that is symbolic of freeing Lasher. So that's why Lasher shows up on the boat. Which that's not like he wasn't that chained in the book, so I'm not sure, but
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense because technically Rowan always either saw him or enjoyed his power, which you can assume he's attached to her because of that. So they sort of give the necklace meaning and then nullify it and then say, oh, wait, but we need the necklace. And then take, so I'm not sure if they had leaned more into Rowan being his genetic match. I don't think they would have had to lean so heavily on the necklace
right.
as the thing that, he sought as a portal to her, I guess, so to speak.
But also with the genetic match thing, I don't even know if they're going to lean into that. Like I haven't seen any like hint of that yet watching the first season. I don't know what they're going to do next season. But they did call her the 13th witch. So like they're insinuating that her power is stronger, and there's also insinuation later on that a lot of her power isn't tied to Lasher, but that ritual obviously didn't go the way that they thought it did either, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's giving like reverted Christianity vibes. Like Rowan technically is his daughter and his love, because I mean he manifested her in a way to be born. So gross, number one. So she's like his daughter, his mother, his lover. And I guess
Yeah.
he's the Holy Ghost. So
Well, the other thing is, again, I didn't catch it, like with the mask on, I was like, did Cortland sneak in there like he does in the, but I was thinking that, but it is supposed to be Lasher because they say that in the commentary. And I was like, does that mean that he's like his own daddy? Like, or like,
yeah, it's implied because in the scene where she's with whoever the guy's supposed to be that she met at the party, Patrick or whatever,
Patrick, yeah.
her eyes are doing the witchy thing. She's like totally out of it. I mean, so you're supposed to get the impression she's under the spell of Lasher. So I would assume that Lasher induced that coupling for his own purposes. Now, why would he do that? To get Rowan. I mean, so
and
yeah.
my question is if he does it then, did he do it every generation up? Like, is he just like his own grandpa and great grandpa and great great grandpa and everything? Because he eventually, ghost fucks Rowan, gets into the baby, and that's how Lasher is born. And he like is born, becomes a full grown man in like 5 seconds, and starts fucking everything, including his mommy.
yeah.
This is a great literature here.
You're not making me want to enjoy the process of reading this book.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I guess to answer that question, because I have read like the Queen of the Damned series too. Yeah, he is his own father for like
Yes.
millennia of generations.
Well, that would explain why he looks like this then. I'm just sorry. God damn it. I'm so mean.
Yeah, this is
sure
why
this is a nice
biodiversity is so important, you guys. If you don't use biodiversity while you're evolving, you'll look like that.
Why doesn't he have a fucking Habsburg jaw though? Come on. Like, let's make this more lifelike or whatever. I don't know.
They knew he wasn't scary, so they just had to make his facial hair really scary. They was like, this has got to be the scariest combos. You're like,
mustache too.
Yeah,
it's the mustache
scary.
too.
Is the yeah. His
Little
forehead.
strip
Like
of bubble bath, it's all bad.
Yes, he has a moon face. He's got to be a Cancer
Yeah.
rising. We can tell, Cancer rising here as well. So the very round face.
very round.
So
Very symmetrical.
Yeah, he
sweaty.
kind of
Very
implies
sweaty.
that like Rowan doesn't have a type, and she does. So it's not that.
Oh God, damn it. Oh God. I just realized that Rowan's type is my type, kind of. I mean, physically at least, tall, dark, and
Yeah.
handsome. I don't like the rapey capitalist vibes though of the men that she seems to pick. We're veering a lot into the book, so let's go back into the show. I'm sorry.
To the rapey vibes of the show.
Yes, the rapey vibes of the show. Her powers start coming online pretty much, which she had already, like, just like in the book, she'd already killed a child, like a child, or injured a child, maimed a child, I don't know, on the playground as a little girl. But now she is, I thought it was amusing how she held her shit together in the OR, but once he was attacking her ego and calling her out, she's like, fuck you.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is she saving people or is she just wanting to one up the head doctor? I don't
And
know. You had
that
some
would
good
be,
points though.
yeah.
Why didn't she tell the kid not to play video games? Why didn't she, act as I don't know, a better example for the residents? She was kind of tripping. She was tripping. And although she was freakishly right about, what was going on with the patient, I thought, yeah, she was kind of arrogant.
She was
Although
probably
that guy was
freakish.
a total dick. That
Oh
guy's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh yeah. She was probably freakishly right because she could see in his brain and knew what was going on, even though the doctor was
Right.
like, we can't tell. Well, she can. She just
Yeah.
doesn't. Maybe she's
She
not
had
even
the
aware.
audacity, though. I'm like, girl, don't act like you extra hard. You used your witch power, okay? She was in there like, I know because I'm so smart. And it's like, because Lasher's in the room. I mean, okay. But yeah, that was interesting. She
So that's
killed
her.
people who were a threat to her.
Yeah, that's her first kill. The second one, well, I guess she didn't kill him. He was in the hospital. Like,
Yeah.
but the second one is more interesting to me. First of all, that this man pisses in front of her.
Yeah.
I lost my shit. I was like, what the fuck?
And didn't wash his hands.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
That would have been the end of the deal for me to be like, you know what?
Right?
In a
Have a
medical
good day.
facility. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And then he
No,
says,
she had perfected her skill by then. She was ready to kill him.
but this man in this fancy suit, this billionaire, assumedly, says the word rejigger.
Oh,
What
yeah.
the fuck? What the?
While he's holding his cock.
Yes.
Also. Yeah. So, he's like, I just gotta rejigger things. They're like, can you not say rejigger while you're shaking them out? I guess that was the point of her killing him. We're supposed to be like, ooh, yeah, she's getting out of hand, but he deserved it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, he was like, okay, you could kill him a little bit quicker, honestly.
Yes.
We'll let this one go. It's fine.
a
You're
little bit
doing
too
the world a favor. You're
I'm
not
sorry.
a murderer, girl.
I have issues with billionaires, so I don't think he would have even made it to pulling his dick out in front of me. But if he pulled his dick out in front of me, you're gone, brother. Like, I'm not playing here. If I have brain popping power, let's go.
Yeah. He was well
yeah.
casted though. Like he
yeah.
was uncomfortable and creepy, like all of it. I was like, wow, you're doing something that I don't like. That is like there's something about those uncomfortable like characters that are made to be uncomfortable that this like Anne Rice universe thing is doing really well. It's like when they want you to be uncomfortable with somebody in like an unsettling way, they're doing it well. And he was one of them. Was like, I don't like you. You're making me uncomfortable. I'm gonna just like turn the volume down a little bit because I don't want to watch you sit there and urinate on screen. Like, it's just...
That's true. The creeps are very creepy.
Yeah.
His hair was very slicked too, and like.
But also, did she kill him because he was a horrible creep and a menace to the world? Or did she kill him because he wanted her to take responsibility for someone else having to lose a spot for her mother? And she refused to take responsibility. It was fine when he was going to do it. When someone else was going to pick a name from the list, she was fine with that. But when the responsibility and accountability fell to her, she was like, someone has to die. I mean, so I don't know. I'm still not necessarily feeling like even the TV Rowan is that great of a person, even though she's saving people, but her reasons are all her own. I mean, it's definitely
Oh, yeah.
personally motivated. She didn't kill him so he could further the foundation. I mean, God knows what happens to those other 30 people after he died. So
True. I do think that there is a harshness to her and there's a calculatedness to her even in the show, but I still feel like maybe it's just being privy to her inner thoughts when you read the book. She's such a like bigger shark in the book, I guess.
My biggest question is like if I within the span of a week was in the room with two men who had blood vessels bursting, the next scene would have been in
you at the police
jail
station.
cell.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
you would not still be walking free long enough for your mother to die. Like people would start asking questions about like how every man that you're alone in a room with just starts having these random like aneurysms going on. It's like no,
Yeah.
the season would have ended there and we would have been done.
I agree. I was like, well, I guess at least they kept in the commentary about white privilege. Here it is. So, because the book, I feel like that's all over the place. I mean, they hide crimes for years and years and decades. I mean, just under money and white privilege. So I thought was a little bit fitting. Honestly, they got away with a ton of stuff.
Yeah, like Patrick dying after the party and just being like carried out, and then they gaslit
in
Deirdre
broad daylight.
And they just gaslit her and were like, oh, you don't even know that was him. The priest says that to her, and it's really, it's white privilege and it's fucking money. It's class privilege, and I think that this show does a lot better job at kind of like critiquing them as rich people than the book does. We'll put it that way. That's an essay I want to write about the classism in this book. I will say that the end of the episode ending in like Rowan's birth, the story of Rowan's birth as Ellie is dying, and as you have this this release of Deirdre, which is kind of the beginning of her death in this adaptation. It's just kind of like this visual cycle that you see that's kind of turning like that the next generation is coming up. And I want to see where they go with this. I feel like I'm not very satisfied with understanding where they're going to go. Even having watched the whole first series, I have no idea what they're doing next.
I did think it was a very like nice visual representation of just like the back and forth thing. It's like for me who hasn't read the books and I had just watched the first episode and I'm like still half asleep. I was like, oh, they're doing the like the time genre hopping, which I kind of like understood because I watched TV and I understand what's going on, but it was like a nice representation to kind of like tie those two things back together for like those who are new to this universe. Like, oh, we're dealing with multiple generations here. So I did think it was a nice touch. That whole scene was a very nice touch with the song choices in the first episode were really great too. Like the music was phenomenal.
I do think it is a tall task to decide what decades of readers like best and show them that, and also what newcomers who've never read it, don't intend to, will enjoy about the kind of storyline too. So that I wouldn't want to, be tasked with having to do it. So
no.
Yeah, monumental. Thank you for watching or listening to this week's episode of A Ghost in the Magazine. You can find us online at ghostinthemagazine.site, or you can find us on Twitter at GITM Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Nocturnical. You can find Mel on Twitter at Hedda_Mel. And you can find Al on Twitter at Maybe Mockingbird.
Okay, bye.